If you've been around anime for the last couple years, you've likely heard of this show in some regards. In 2015, One Punch Man became a mainstream anime that even people of the general public were talking about. It was difficult to bring up anime during any of that time period and not have somebody bring up One Punch Man. It was just that huge. I haven't seen something become this mainstream since the release of Attack on Titan. Suddenly, anime was much more a present topic, and it was thanks to this show that anime became a little bit more popular in the mainstream audience. It was an interesting thing to behold, and though it annoyed me on occasion that it seemed to be the only anime people would talk about for months, I can appreciate the massive amount of people it brought into anime. Now, the aspect that most people enjoyed about this show, probably without much surprise I'd imagine, was the type of humor the show had and the concept itself. Some were in love with the hilarity on display throughout the anime, and couldn't get enough of it. Some adored the concept and the sheer ridiculousness of one man being able to completely steamroll just about everything with one single punch, befitting the name One Punch Man. Others who want to feel particularly analytical like to claim that it's the subverting of the typical shonen tropes seen in other shows. Yeah, alright, that's fantastic. My favorite aspect was none of these, however. In fact, my favorite aspect of the show is one that almost no one seems to have discussed at all. It's a detail that gets trampled amidst the amazing opening and the humor. The ironic thing is, if it was any other show, this aspect would have been discussed to death at this point. You see, my favorite aspect of the show was Saitama himself. And no, I don't mean how overpowered his abilities were, or whatever. In fact, it has more to do with his actual character, though to be fair, his overpowered nature does play an aspect in this. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? In One Punch Man, Saitama is portrayed with some ridiculous abilities from the onset. He's able to one-shot just about anything that comes his way, whether it be a giant monster or a meteor. He's able to run at ridiculous speeds, move and dodge so fast it's almost ridiculous, and the guy can certainly take a heap of damage without a single reaction. This guy has everything, right? I mean, he's pretty much the definition of perfect from that description, right? Well, that would have been the case if the creator hadn't went out of their way to make sure that he had several flaws. In essence, he's not perfect, not even close. Sure, physically he's an absolute beast, but in other aspects he's extremely lacking. Saitama is a simple man. He doesn't have a lot of money, he lives in a cheap apartment, and even once he becomes a hero, he's still not exactly rolling in dough. Speaking on becoming a hero as well, he barely just did so. He just barely passed the test at all because he's not exactly the brightest person. This can be seen in the show itself as well, where he would often make brash decisions leading to destruction in most cases. He's helped to cause whole cities to be destroyed on multiple occasions because, in essence, he's kind of an idiot. He's also shown to be a bit of a social outcast as well. The show doesn't outright rub it in your face, but it's clear that he has some pretty terrible social skills. In his interactions with Genos, for example, he talks to him in an extremely strange and almost angry way. He doesn't seem to be able to interact with others any better either, and only has Genos as a friend because Genos was more interested in learning how to become strong. His apartment is basically empty. We get little to no mention of family in the anime, and friends seem to be completely out of the picture in his case. Even his interactions with other people seems to go pretty terribly. Instead of calling out the people's garbage, he takes the blame for everything when he comes under fire. He doesn't defend himself, and in actuality, becomes a stronger character because he takes the blame. He knows full well that if he really wanted to, he could tell the truth about his ridiculous abilities, but he doesn't. Instead, he allows the other heroes to take credit for his accomplishments. This isn't just him being a hero for fun, this is him genuinely trying to be a good person. Think about it. He doesn't need to do any of this. He doesn't need to suffer through any of this stuff that he suffers through. He could literally have anything he wants to. Heck, if he became a villain, he'd be virtually unbeatable. The thing is, he doesn't become a villain because he's not a bad guy. He instead continues to fight for justice, despite never attaining a reward for doing so. He has nothing to gain by doing this, and in fact, he loses something in exchange: the people's respect. Writing characters is difficult, especially when you have them with overpowered abilities. How does one approach writing a character that absolutely can't be defeated and destroys any challenge that comes their way? Some will play it off for a comical aspect, making the character so ridiculously perfect that it's almost hilarious in and of itself. Others will try to insert smaller problems and then pile on the melodrama, hoping to fool the viewer into thinking that they were able to write flaws in. These styles, while they can work on occasion, almost feel like the easy way out. The way One Punch Man approaches the issue, however, is extremely different. The writer essentially wrote a character who is virtually unbeatable and then managed to write serious flaws that make the character have some actual depth. It's easy enough to write a scene where the undefeatable character miraculously gets beat by something insignificant, but making a character like Saitama have genuine struggles that don't involve fighting is much more interesting. Sure, any monster that comes his way will get destroyed in a matter of one punch, but by the same token, when Saitama finishes up the fight, he lacks friends, lacks wealth, a good apartment, even just the respect he deserves as well. Instead, he continues on fighting for fun because that's what he wants to do, regardless of how unrewarding of a job it is. I just find it interesting that Saitama could be written so well in a show generally lacking a lot of depthy characters in most regards. It's just odd that no one seemed to have talked about this aspect of the story. Sure, the show is hilarious, it has a really, really amazing opening, and a really interesting concept to go with that, but behind all of the laughs and strength is a character that's surprisingly diverse and well written. Well hey, I don't mind being the first one to mention it. After all, I'm a YouTuber and anime watcher for fun, and this anime, even knowing some of its flaws, has plenty of fun to go around, and an interesting, overpowered main character that's more than he would initially seem. Hey everybody, I have a quick piece of fan art to show off. So hey, look at this, there's a picture, it's drawn by Dinjian. It's me with the anime theory symbol, I got that nice curly hair, it looks pretty great. It's just a nice looking picture overall, and plus it's hand drawn, which is actually a lot harder for some people to do. So hey, that's a pretty good drawing, and hey, if you want to send me any fan art, send it to my Twitter and I'll show it off in a video. Hey, if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I mean, hey, why don't you check out some of my other videos, that's what they're there for. And once you go to follow my Twitter, check out my second channel where I just kind of do random stuff for fun. And hey, this video was kind of just a random thing I wanted to do, but I hope you enjoyed it. And hey, we've got a Full Metal Alchemist theory coming up, and I've got a JoJo's Bizarre Adventures marathon thing to do, so that'll be fun. And anyways, see you guys in the next video.